Greetings and welcome to The Thirsty Mage, the podcast happy to see their Kickstarter money having gone to good use. I'm your host David Lloyd, and this week we're talking about the upcoming Sabotage Studios RPG, Sea of Stars. Not only did we get a release date in the latest Nintendo Direct, that was surprisingly way earlier than I was expecting, but we even got a demo that we could play right away, which has not disappointed. Joining me this week is the most detailed demo person I know. It's Paige Chamberlain.
What the heck does that mean?
Well, it's because I still remember the Triangle Strategy demo talk that we did, and you're going on about all of these different environmental things and all these different ways to battle, and Jordan and I were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I shall play a lot of that demo and then none of the game. Although I should be getting my copy back today, but I hadn't touched Fire Emblem for a week either, so I gotta beat that first.
Yeah. Maybe you learned a lesson not to play so much of the demo as to tire yourself out of the game before it actually comes out. Maybe that was the lesson learned there. Yeah.
So yeah, we just had a Nintendo Direct this week, a few days ago.
Yeah, recording on a Friday. I guess it was on a Wednesday.
One of the days.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, because it
was nice in the morning for me. Normally the Directs used to be some stupid time, and lately they've been much more reasonable times for me, so that's good.
Yeah, they've been pretty consistent on the timing, I think, because I feel like the last few have been at 5 p.m. of my time. So.
And yeah, there was a whole host of RPG goodness. So I've written down what things were mentioned, and after that we'll talk about the demos we played.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of DLC as well. So there was like Xenoblade 3 DLC, which is like the different waves. So they showed off a new hero, which should be dropping. I don't know when it said, but that'd be like the thing that's coming out soon. And then they hinted at the story DLC, which, having not finished the game or the other two, doesn't mean too much to me, other than there's clearly characters from the other games.
Go T-Rex.
Yeah. And then they also had Fire Emblem DLC, where one of the waves dropped that day. So there's even more emblem bracelets that you can pick up doing the story missions. And then they hinted at the next wave, which was going to be a Xenologue. So I'm assuming that's a post-game paralogue or something.
Oh, yeah.
So at least, I haven't finished Fire Emblem. Now there's more characters for me to play with. And then there was Deca Police, which when I first was watching it, I didn't think it was an RPG. Did you watch that trailer?
Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. And who was the developer again? It was more the developer that surprised me.
It is level 5. Dang, that's a lot of games.
Yeah, I was like, a level 5.
I was like, it couldn't be level 5 because they did so many games at this direction. Like, no, that one is also a level 5 because it was they shuttered all their Western stuff, and then they weren't doing so bad, so they were like doing so good. So they were like, I guess we're gonna release games outside of Japan again.
Yeah.
We're gonna start making mobile stuff that flops. So that's something I'll be looking at. Because, the first one I looked at it, I'm like, it's just some detective game. And then I was like, it's like a turn-based RPG. And I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see how that goes. There's also some... Sorry?
I was going to say, it wasn't even that long ago we were talking about the death of level 5. Like, I feel like there was an episode, like, only a few weeks ago where we were like, well, I guess level 5 is dead.
Yeah.
They haven't released a game in forever.
It's surprised they have, like, 5 games. Octopath Traveler 2 also announced a demo drop, as well as Sea of Stars, so we'll be talking about them shortly.
Mm-hmm.
And Sea of Stars got a release date, which is at the end of August, I think.
Shocking. Yeah, it's August 29th.
Is it shocking? I thought they already said August and they just didn't give us the date. But
I didn't know it was August. I remember they were saying it was 2023, so I was just immediately like, okay, well, it's probably going to be like Christmas 2023. But
the Etrian Odyssey Origins Collection, which is the first 3 games onto the Switch instead of, it was on the 3DS, so they've added auto mapping and put the map on the top screen because there is no bottom screen.
They solved the dual screen by just putting them next to each other.
They're very expensive. I don't know what they are in Canada, but
it's ridiculous.
It's $120 for the 3.
Yeah, $150.
And if you buy them separate, oh my god, really?
Yeah, well, there's so it's $150 regular price, but if you pre-order, there's like a 30% off bonus, but that brings it down to $106, and it's like, oh my god.
And then they're $60 each, just separately.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're being lazy and they're doing a physical overseas, which will come with a stylus. So I have 2 of the styluses that you can get for your Switch. I don't know if I need another.
Have you
I
used
got
them?
yeah, the Brain Age one and the Super Mario Maker 2 one,
Oh, okay.
because it's like this particular type of stylus that only works on the Switch screen, like a
I was gonna say
soft kind of.
I'd be too scared to touch my screen with the
No,
stylus.
it's a very particular kind that only works like you have to use that one. The other ones don't work with a Switch. So,
Oh, okay.
Advance Wars 1 and 2 got a release date finally again. So that's coming in April.
Hmm.
They didn't show any gameplay footage, which I thought was a little interesting.
Yeah,
And
they showed
I'm
it like
wondering if
a
they've
couple years
given it
ago,
like
right?
a slight, yeah. That's what I mean. There was like a treehouse video I was clicked on from 2021
Yeah.
showing off the game and then nothing. But I'm wondering if maybe while they've had it on hold, they've done any touching up because they didn't show us the
Yeah,
game at all.
doesn't maybe they've done something to it, but it's probably
It's just
just
weird.
been rotten on the shelf somewhere.
And then we got Switch Online, Game Boy Color, and expansion pack Game Boy Advance. So I guess RPGs that way as Zelda. So we've got Minish Cap, and the Oracle games are coming. Golden Sun is coming.
Yeah,
Fire
I thought I
Emblem is
saw
coming.
Golden Sun. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I still have the cartridge lying around here that I bought at a retro store. That I was like, yeah, I'm gonna play this, and I played like a half an hour and gave up.
Mm.
Not because I didn't like it. I was more I think I got distracted by something else and just never bothered.
And then Baton Kaidos 1 and 2 remaster, which were GameCube games I don't know anything about other than it's like a card system. And technically you're not playing as the main character.
Yeah,
So,
it's some weird Monolith Soft title. I think I'm pretty sure it was when they were. I think it was published by Namco back in the day for GameCube. Uh, yeah, I've heard some things. I don't know. I've some people have said it's good. Could be made better or made great if they do some like nice remastering or even like some quality life stuff. So I guess we'll see. But
well, other than all I've seen is that it's not going to have any English voiceover, this version.
oh, okay, that's already a little bit suspect already.
And Fantasy Life I, so I wasn't sure, like entirely sure that it was a new one yet or not, but it is. Because there was the 3DS title, which I played tons of. Then there was a phone game, which when they released the English version was when they announced that they're shutting down the Japanese version. So I think they're making a proper Fantasy Life that we can play. I don't know why it's Fantasy Life I and then the subtitle, but I really really liked that game, and I like to compare it to Final Fantasy 14 because you can just switch out your jobs and like even be a cook and stuff.
Yeah, I think Casey just recently played the 3DS game because he was talking about it not that long ago and asking about if we'd cover that or not. But I know 3DS games, like in particular, trying to find like a physical 3DS game is not cheap these days. So I think kind of passed on it. So I guess it worked out well because now they got a Switch one coming. So
We'll have to just bully you to get that instead.
yeah.
And then they showed off a new Zelda trailer with lots of things in it. And I've had to mute the term $70 on my Twitter feed because if I have to hear Americans complain about the game being $10 more.
I don't know what's worse, the hearing about the people complaining that it's $10 more or the people that are trying to defend the $10 more. It's just like I
I
don't know. It
mean,
just
Breath of the Wild in Australia is $10 more than the normal Switch game, so
yeah. It was the regular price here, the for like the Breath of the Wild, but I don't know. Like I don't trying to compare the video game market of the 90s to now is like just don't like we don't need to be like, oh, this it doesn't need defense, just it is what it is, either pay
um,
for the game or don't. Like I don't
yeah,
know. Like the morality of whether it's right or wrong is pointless. It's free market
morality.
economics. Yeah, like you're either paying for it or not. Like you don't have to feel good about paying $90 for a
Yeah.
Switch game. Like it's
Um,
just it is
and
what
I
it is.
saw even before this trailer, but like after people complaining that I haven't seen much or it looks pretty much the same, and I'm like, yeah, they're trying to spoil it. Like,
No, hopefully that's all it is.
yeah, the only
Yeah.
only thing I majorly hope is that we have dungeons. But
Yeah, yeah.
I saw like there was a thing in the grass, and I'm like, oh, did I don't know, the guardian, like the not the guardians, the divine beast got absorbed into the ground or something.
Well,
But
it's I figure we'll probably still get some kind of gameplay, like a treehouse style, like someone at Nintendo will play it. Like, I don't think this is the last we're going to hear about it.
No.
If this is it, if this is all we get before it releases, then I'd be really concerned about what's going on in the game, but I'm fairly certain they're going to show us more between now and then.
Then I was almost concerned because they said the amiibos unlock different glider patterns, and I was like, but it did say also you get other stuff because I was just like, oh no, because I want Wolf Link to still be usable in it, and I don't have the excuse because they reprinted the amiibo, and I want the Loftwing to be like the same as the Wolf Link, like you can actually get a Loftwing.
Yeah,
That would be.
Yeah, I'll have to see.
And also, like I've said, I want a Wii U shirt with the season pass bonus.
That's right. Yeah. So will you be picking up the new Link with the arm out amiibo when it becomes
Will
available?
I be picking up a new amiibo when I have almost everyone? Yes, I will be picking up. The only amiibo I'm missing are like the original Monster Hunter Stories ones that are very expensive, the US Mega Man ones, and the Dark Skylanders.
Oh yeah,
and like amiibo cards. But
is there more than one Mega Man one?
yeah, so there's a Smash one, and then there was a Mega Man one that came with Legends on 3DS in America only, and then there was a gold version of him as well.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking because I'm looking at one now, and I'm like, hey, if you don't have it, you can have it. I'm pretty sure it's the Smash one though, because it's just like a normal looking Mega Man.
The Smash one is one of my most recent pickups.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got them up on the wall in my.
The real question is
bookshelf.
The overpriced collector's edition. Like it is, what was it? Something stupid, and then it's like not anywhere. Like the original collector's edition came with like the soundtrack, the sword, all that, and this one is just like art.
Are you telling me that you're complaining about the Zelda Collector's Edition after you bought the Final Fantasy 16?
Hey, I haven't paid that off yet. I might cancel it. You know. I might scalp it. See, I might scalp one of these and then sell that, and then that'll cover the cost of my collector's edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $189.95, and the game is $89. Yeah, so an extra $100.
$100 and $100 and no statue. That's
an extra $100 to get a steelbook, a poster, an art book, and a pin set.
Oh yeah, that's not worth it.
Yeah, which I was like, often the pins in these collector's editions are terrible too.
Yeah, no statue, no sale. That's what that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, see, that makes the Bayonetta collector's edition not look that bad because the Bayonetta one was an extra like $30, but you got like something like 200-page art book.
I got the I don't know what edition my Final Fantasy 16 is technically called, but I'm pretty sure all I get is a steel book.
That'll probably be deluxe,
and it's $30, and it's $30 for the steel book, and
I think it was like $50 more for the deluxe edition in Australia. I'm like, yeah, jeez, like,
all for a steel book.
The collector's edition is heinous. Yeah, an extra. It was 115 versus 170.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they really.
Well, they're gonna sell out though. So.
Well, they sold out of the. What's it? $700 collector edition.
Yeah. I need to know. I hope Square Enix gives us some stats on how many statues are actually getting printed for that. I'd love to know how many.
I'm hoping the statue looks good. That's my main concern.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, if you don't like it, you'll be able to sell it for at least what you got or more. Yeah, I'm confident you'll at least get a free game out of it.
Yeah, especially how hard it was to get in Australia.
Is this? I didn't notice. Is the collectors for Zelda is it sold directly through the Nintendo store or is it anywhere?
You can get it anywhere.
Okay. Yeah.
It's funny. Speaking of like collections, I skipped on. I can still technically buy the Fire Emblem Engage one if I want, but I'm looking at it and it's like it's a steelbook and art cards, poster, art book, and oftentimes the art books aren't worth it. They're just like concept art, but it's really just the character designs and like some asset kind of. It's not often what I actually want to see. Like it's not usually the beautiful backgrounds or things like that. So it's often like, aside from the space, it's also and the money difference. It's also like, the contents. It's not what I want really.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't want to say they're like a lot of these things seem like afterthoughts, but they're not the same kind of care that you see in like a book that you would just kind of buy on its own, sort of thing. Like it's they.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
they're not. Yeah, well, that's, I mean, even though I was going to say there was a massive art book with the Bayonetta 3 one, which is probably more worth it than some of the ones, like small ones we get, but like they're still also releasing a separate paid art book with much more details, like concept stuff.
yeah.
So,
So it makes more sense to get something like that for sure.
but for something that's free, we have demos.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So I guess before we talk about the demos that we played, I should probably just to state for the record that I am a Kickstarter backer of Sea of Stars, but my opinion is in no way influenced by it because, I mean, other than the fact that I'm hoping it's good because I paid money for it, I really whatever I get is fine. Like, whenever you put money in for a Kickstarter, you're taking your chances. It feels like one of the other games I've kickstarted may or may not come out in the near or distant future. So it's always a risk. But I'd have to say from early playing of the demo, which picked up on Switch, it's looking pretty good, looking pretty solid. I think from everything from the looks, like I think that was maybe what stood out for me right off the bat was just how beautiful everything looks, like from the environment that you kind of walk through to the like even like the little customer client the avatars, like the little like when the speech bubbles pop up and like they have the
So
little
the
art,
portraits.
the portraits.
Yeah.
That's the word I've been looking
The
for. Yeah,
avatars would probably be the people themselves, not the the
yeah.
mod.
Oh, they look pretty solid too. Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, there's
I
lots
don't
of
know if
good
did
detail in it.
who did you pick for your leader when you, because there's basically
Um,
three characters and
Valerie,
you, sorry.
Valerie.
Okay, so we both picked Valerie.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's I can't remember the names. There's Valerie, like have it started with an H, like Hava or something
there's a
like that.
guy. There's someone that carries a backpack. They,
Yeah, I think his name was like Gael or something like.
yeah.
Yeah, and he was kind of like the aloof.
I think I initially assumed that they were a chick.
Yeah, but so they off the bat they ask you to pick between Valerie and the sword carrying guy,
The
and
moon person and the sun person.
yeah, and I don't know if there was, and at least in the demo I didn't
Yeah.
find any
I think it
benefit
said
or
there was no difference. I think it's just who you
no.
walk around as, really. Like maybe in the intro of the like the actual game, there might be like a tiny section before they meet together or something. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and yeah,
then
this
in
demo,
the campsite, you controlled the leader at the campsite while everyone else is just kind of sitting around doing their thing. But
yeah. Um, the demo, yeah, is a very vertical slice because it's sort of, you start with a very basic battle, and then suddenly just goes, and some time has passed, and you're in
yeah,
a pub, and they're like, you've talked to a village, and they're like, oh, thanks for the help, and you've got a cookie jar in your inventory that you can't do anything with.
yeah,
And like you're in this bit, and then they're like, oh, I'm gonna use this to redacted for spoilers.
yeah.
And you have
Redactions was
there's
funny.
yeah, we have all the, like these guards standing and saying you can't come here because this is the demo.
I actually had a hard time initially, like trying to, because they were like, and it's north of the village, and I'm like, okay, like how do I get north?
I didn't hear what they switch direction they said, so then I was
Oh, just walking around.
eventually I found like there's a bit I could walk through upwards, and I was like, okay, there it is. And
Yeah,
then I immediately tried to go because he opened up out of the town into a world map, and I went down. It's like, you can't go here, but you can listen to the music
yeah.
if you stand here. I'm like, oh.
Now, did you do the fishing mini game?
Well, yeah. Did you find the fishing in the dungeon?
No, I did not find the fishing in the dungeon. Oh,
Whoa.
see, that's why you're the demo queen. I did not find the fishing
Yeah,
in the
so the
demo.
main aspect of the demo is a dungeon that you go into. And it's so combat wise it's sort of set enemies, so once you've beaten them up they're gone unless you die and have to go through it
Yeah,
again.
that's
But
right.
yeah, so it's no I think
No
one of
random
the
encounters. They're
advertising
all on
points was like,
screen.
oh, you don't have to grind, and I was like, it's not actually possible to grind when you only have set encounters.
That's right.
Yeah. um so yeah, and it's turn based. The enemies have like little countdowns for how many turns they're gonna have before they
Do their
go.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a system where they'd have like, I guess, a break system, but they don't say break or anything, where they had certain symbols. So if you could manage to land that many attacks of that type, so like sword, regular attack, moon, or sun were the elements we had, that would stop them from doing something, which often I couldn't manage to do because the countdown was 3 and I needed like 4 different things. But
Yeah,
I did it a
some of
couple
that was weird.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like they didn't tutorialize much in this demo.
No,
Like
I
I was
think
expecting way more
in the
tutorials, and it was just
main
like, here you go.
screen, there's a how to
Yeah.
play section that I didn't look at, but yeah, they didn't really tell you how to do anything. To
No, like
how it was explained at all. It's just yeah,
the only thing that got explained was when you did one of the timed or push
yeah,
button attacks, like
which
the
they would yeah.
with Valerie's
The
like
Mario and Luigi style or Paper Mario
yes.
style
Yeah.
attacks. So, for example, yeah, Valerie's the crescent boomerang or
Yeah.
boomerang one, because yeah, and that one you press A to rebound it, and you can, depending on how fast you are, you can keep doing that for quite a while, which is I think how I ended up finishing off the boss.
Yep.
That's with the boomerang. So there's things like so that kind of style with when you use the skills
Yep.
and you build up your MP by just using regular attacks. And then there's the combo system where it builds up from being hit and doing certain things, and then you can do a combo attack with the 2 characters, but it's only using so that's like just unique skills as well. But that's only using one of the characters' turns.
Yep.
So what did you think of their battle system that I have now explained?
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I guess I'd like to see. We only got to see so much of it in the demo, so it'd be interesting to see, how it works over the course of an entire game. I'm sure there's a lot more to it they'll come up, or we'll see like more enemies where there'll be more strategy to it and that sort of thing. But my one concern is like a lot of the time, like depending on how long the game is, I guess, like sometimes the Mario and Luigi combat would kind of like get on my nerves, where it's like, oh, like another, like I have to do the timed attack thing. It's just too much. Like, so I'm hoping it doesn't feel like it gets worn. Like I hope there's gonna be, because I know it looks like you gain more abilities throughout the thing. Like I know in the
Yeah.
dungeon you can actually pick up a scroll and it gives you a new combo and stuff. So I'm thinking that there'll probably be enough progression as you level up. You'll get new skills and then you'll be able to play with them differently and stuff. So it'll keep things feeling fresh. So that's kind of my hope. But I guess the other thing too is the demo. I wouldn't say it was terribly hard, but it was harder than I was expecting. It was almost like a Square demo where it's like, oh, I wasn't expecting the difficulty to be this high for for a demo.
I don't know. I kept because in the dungeon you go into different rooms that you unlock with these lights, and then you go through like a minor sort of. I don't really much in the way of puzzles. It was more like step on this block, and then now the room has changed, and you can walk around it a different way mostly, except for like one bit. Uh, but there was one of the rooms. It would be like the third encounter I'd come into. I kept getting curb stomped, so I had to go through that segment. And I'm thinking about the fourth time I got the order of like who to beat up first. Like get rid of the guys that do the attack everyone attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I guess one benefit of it is if you get knocked out, they like only stay knocked out for a couple of turns.
Yeah, I was surprised that the characters will like they don't stay knocked out for
I
the whole
think
battle.
maybe it's
They'll
because
still get
like
up.
you take so much damage though.
I wasn't sure if it was even a demo thing. If it was like, oh well, we want people to get through, so we'll add this in. But maybe it'll be in the regular game where if you stay alive long enough, your characters will just get up on their own after a while.
I mean, like I thought maybe it was like unique to one character and they had equipment or something, but no, it was everyone.
Yeah. Well, and then I didn't. actually try it, but I know in the demo there's a relic. Like if you go into the menu, there's these relics and that you can turn on, and there's only one that's there, but it refills everything after a battle. So like you get all your health back, you get all your MP, and I guess it's supposed to like help you get through the demo if you're like
Yeah,
struggling.
I actually wasted a bunch of food because like I'd eat it and then I'd be like, oh, that was the last enemy in the room.
Yeah.
So like, oh, I'm gonna get another fight, better eat this. But then because of the fishing, that wasn't so bad because I could just make more food.
Yeah, and then so one of the other things, like inside the dungeon, there's a campsite, so you can cook more food, like with the stuff that you fish, and you can rest in there and that sort of thing. There was one neat thing where the one character, I don't know if you had one of the bedtime stories read to you.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
scares. Which I reckon that's something you'll encounter in the actual game.
yeah,
She's saying, "Oh, it's a spooky story." I'm like, I don't know if you'd put that much detail into a fake story. I feel like
yeah,
we might end up there at some point.
yeah. I'm thinking so too. But the whole demo felt like I don't think that was the beginning of the game or anything. Like you said, I felt like it was like dropping you into specific scenarios that are probably like later in the game, sort of thing, and you're just seeing like snippets of it because none of it felt very sequential. Like it seemed like we were bouncing around a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a way to do demos when they don't want to give you the start of the game because that can be slow and boring. Um, but they want to show you different parts because, like, when I did a special preview for Koromon, it was like the standard intro demo, but then it took me into like a couple segments of the game later with like a new setup and team, and let me do a bunch of that up to a certain point.
Hmm.
So it's the less common way to do a demo, but it happens.
Yeah. Any criticisms that
Um,
are?
I didn't like it's it was like the point where I'm like, oh, no auto save or something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Both
Because
demos we played didn't have auto or
no,
didn't have save
they're
anywhere or
both the
autosave.
kind of game where
Very
it's like
irritating.
you have to save at this particular spot.
Yeah.
Which I just found annoying because like it was not only I had to redo the fights to get back to where I was, but I had to walk through all this puzzle type stuff too. I'm just like,
Yeah. I like in this day and age, to me, I mean, if you want to put those save spots there for specific reasons, that's fine. But I think Persona 3's setup is like the bare minimum any game should do, where it's like, okay, like you don't want to play anymore, but you don't, maybe you're not as close to a save as you need to be, and you just want to put the game down. There should be a save anywhere where the game, like, you know, you can save, you could shut the game down, you can play something else, and then when you come back, you can start exactly where you were, and then the game just deletes the save from that point. So I'm assuming it was to eliminate like saves coming, which is like, okay, if that's the choice you want to make, fine. But I feel like every game in this era of gaming, like all the consoles are strong enough. Like auto, there has to be some kind of like, I'm turning the game off, but I want to save right here. Like they should all have it. There's no reason they should.
yeah, it's just it's just annoying, really.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, come on. That would be my main one. I didn't mind the Mario style combat though. That made me go, ooh, that's fun. Because I wasn't, I hadn't heard of that game until it was mentioned at the previous direct, and everyone's like so hyped about it. I'm like, the only thing I thought was going for it was that there was by the people who did the Messenger, and I watched a stream of that, and that had a lot of humor in it.
Yeah, and it seems like there'll be some good humor in this one too. Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so I didn't have the as much. Like to me, I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. Maybe I'll get it. Now I played the demo. I'm like, okay, I'll probably actually play it, but I'm still not overly hyped for it. But I think that's maybe it. Just sort of depends what else is coming out around
yeah.
August, or like I'm still playing July games or something.
Well, that's yeah. Like,
Yeah,
it's hard to say the timing. Like, I'm sure I'll be done Final Fantasy 16 by the time it comes
yeah,
out, but I think
and
my biggest criticism or concern, I guess, would be is like everything looks beautiful. Like I think it's beautifully designed, but I'm concerned that and this is something I've seen in a lot of indie games is where the backgrounds and like the playing area all like it's hard to tell like where I can walk. It's like, okay,
yeah,
like I'm coming
especially
this
because it's kind of It feels like kind of 3D in a way, with like when you're
Yeah.
going up vines and stuff that are actually in between, like so you can go in between layers and things, which I
Yeah,
thought was
well, especially
interesting.
like right at the beginning of the demo, it's like because there's a lot of verticality, so it's like I'm walking along and it's like, okay, where's the path leading me here? It's like, well, you can go down, and then you can go behind the rock, and then you climb the vine, and then you cross the thing, and I'm like, oh man, like this is fine now. I'm figuring it out, but I just feel like, and there's been a few games where it's been like that, where it's like, oh, I didn't even know I could walk there. Like it's hard to tell sometimes between the like where I'm supposed to go and where I can go and that sort of thing. And I think it's most noticeable because like I play a lot of Square Enix games, obviously, and I think like they one of the things there is with most Square Enix games or all of them, like there's always this distinction. Like you can always tell where the playing ground is and where the background is. Like there's very few games that it seems like one of those things where it's like they've done so many games, they just know how to play with the lighting or play with the focus or do something that it's like you can't go there. It's very clear that you can't go there. So like I'm not even going to try sort of thing.
And yeah, there was fishing as well, which I was like, it's useful because it combines the cooking. But yeah, you didn't find that there was a fishing spot in the dungeon,
No.
um,
I saw it on
because
the overworld map,
you
but
have
that's
like
it.
these lights you collect, and then you pop up all three together, and you unlock the final room, right?
Yep.
But one of the combinations of the two lights creates purple, and that makes it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I did the correct one, right? Like the yellow one first and got the final light. But I
Yeah.
was like, after that, I was like, I'm going to go check out this other thing. And then the guy in the well is like, can you get my watch? A fish ate it. And then you catch the fish.
Oh, okay.
So that's also useful because I could create more fillets.
Yeah.
Since
Well,
I,
I have to give them props for coming up. Like that was a new fishing game that I haven't come across. Like they
yeah.
unique
It's like you
mechanics.
cast, the casting I have trouble with, but then after that they get hooked and it's like, you only want to pull when they're in like the light, like this cone
Yeah.
of light, and they keep going in and out of it.
Yeah, the casting was weird. So the way that it works is like you're standing there, you hit the A button, like or you kind of direct like move the character around to where you want to like aim the cast, and then it shoots the line out. And but the line will just continue to the end of the screen unless you press A, and then it kind of falls. But you can't. There's a bit of a delay from the point where you hit it, and then the lure hits the water. So you almost have to like preemptively. It's like, okay, there's a fish a little bit up there. I gotta hit the lure drop before it gets to the fish, so that it then comes down. And then when the lure hits the water, it creates like a circle. And if there's a fish near it, then it'll go after it. But if there's nothing there, then there's no moving the lure, which was kind of weird. It just comes right back, like, and then you got to do it again. So I thought that was kind of funny because usually, like with a lot of fishing games, like you'll shoot the lure out, and if you don't hit anything right away, then you might catch one as you're reeling it back in. But it just like comes out of the water and comes back.
It's like, nope.
Yep. And I had a hard time reeling in the big ones. Like the little ones were easy enough, but I kept getting the big ones, like they were right there, and I was like, "Is there a button I'm supposed to be pushing to pick up the little ones?" Because like I've had this guy here for like 30 seconds, and he just ends up breaking my line, and so I wasn't sure if there was like some trick to like, am I supposed to hit B to like when it's? But I don't know. I didn't have to do it for the little ones. They just like pulled them out, and I had the meat. So it was, I don't know. We'll see. I guess. Mate, I wondered if there was like some kind of when you play the actual game, there'll be ways to upgrade the fishing rod or something.
One other thing I noticed was in like the boss fight how fluid the animation of the boss looked, because they have like what looks like a lot of ribbons or something, and like
Hmm.
when they first popped up and twirled around and stuff, it looked really good, even
Yeah,
though it's all like pixel art style.
yeah. No, I think they have a lot of. It's funny that the team seems to have like they have like good animators, good pixel artists. Clearly, they have someone who's good at writing, because the humor is pretty good. I loved. Like I knew right away. It's like, okay, this person's clearly going to lose the arm wrestling match. I wonder how they're going to do it. And then like the guy just like
I
You have
thought it
this
was
little
going to
skinny
be a
guy
mini
comes
game.
out and just like goes buff like Venom or something. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a mini game, and then I was like, oh, okay, just that.
Yeah. I was expecting a mini game that you couldn't win.
Yeah, I thought I was going to have to like mash the A button real.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, that was a pretty funny scene. And then there's a little bit of mystery where with the character that is able to teleport or create portals. So there's like a very small cutscene at the beginning when you first.
Oh yeah, like the person that's like watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they like create a kind of a warp or a portal
I
and then
liked
disappear.
other character designs, like that one guy who has eye patches on both his eyes, and clearly only needs one because when he does stuff, he lifts up one of the eye patches to look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's funny, silly things like that. And you wrote music because I think that's one of their key selling points, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if we heard a Mitsuda.
If you go down to that bit where it tells you can't go in it.
Oh, okay. Nah, yeah, I didn't go there. Maybe I'll have to go down because I was like listening and I'm like, I don't think any of this music has been Mitsuda yet. So, and I don't know if he's
Mitsuda, who's composed Chrono Trigger, is doing some songs in this.
Some
game.
of it, yeah.
Like,
There's a collaboration.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the demo, you can stand outside somewhere you're not allowed to, and it plays the song for you.
Yeah. So yeah, that'll be neat. I don't know if the music there was fine. I don't like.
Yeah, I trying to remember off my head, top of my head, it's kind of like whatever. But while the battles were going on, I'm like, yeah, it's good. Which you hope it is because you're gonna have to listen to it a lot.
Yeah. At minimum, it has to be decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is quite a different art making music for video games versus just a regular song. So.
Yeah, there was a game. Jordan and I played it not too long ago. I think it's Rise of the Third Power or something like that, where it had like I enjoyed the battle music. It was really good, but one of the problems I found is that the loop was pretty short. So it's like you have this nice music and then it comes to an end and then it starts up again and I'm like, oh man, like I'm gonna hear this like 15 times before this battle's over. Like this, they might have wanted to have a little bit longer for the boss battles, but yeah, it's definitely a challenge, I think, when you have an RPG where you're listening to this battle music for countless times and all the battles have variable lengths, so it's definitely a balancing act of how to nail it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I guess October, like I said, August 29th.
We said October.
Oh, sorry. I almost had said October. I did. I started October and
you read Octopath and then you went October.
Yeah, August 29th. It's funny. It's on Steam, Switch, and PlayStation, and I know someone had actually so what happened was I was like, I think we gave money. The Kickstarter was like 2 to 3 years ago, and I'm sure at the time I would have been buying it for Switch, but now I want it on my Steam Deck. So I was like, okay, I better go ask somebody if I can switch whatever I told them, and so I'm like going through the comments, and then I see like, oh, okay, there's gonna be like a survey that they're gonna send out where you get. I guess I hadn't chosen yet. I guess is the answer to that. Yeah. So I will be able to say, yeah, give me the Steam version. But I know a few people were
still not.
Yeah. They but it's funny because there was a couple people there that said like, why not Xbox, and the answer was, well, we're a small studio and this is we've picked these ones, and I'm like, I'm not criticizing them because I mean at the end of the day I don't know
if they want an Xbox One support, then they better give them the Game Pass money. That's what.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I just don't think I don't think the market on Xbox will be there for a game like that. So it's like, unless Microsoft is paying the money to port it, then I would say forget it. Like, I don't think they're going to recoup. It's at best, it should be like an afterthought where it's like, you know what, if we have time, let's do it. But if not, I forget it. But yeah, so there was one other game on our list for the demos that came out, and I actually did get to play the Steam version of this one. I was happy that the demo was there. The maybe the most infamous series on our podcast, Octopath Traveler 2.
Oh no, you said it too fast. I was going to say Octopath Traveler Boo. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because I enjoyed the demo, but I didn't get to collect more than one character, and that's going to be the real test is if the other characters actually make eye contact and speak to each other. That's the I have to reserve all judgment of this game until there's eye contact. That's my point of whether the game is good or not.
Yeah, the demos for these are dangerous because I played the two demos they had of the first Octopath because they did like a feedback type demo, whereas this one is just like here's the prologue and here's your combine your save data. And I know I liked that a lot, but then when I played the actual game, I didn't, and I returned, sold off my collector's edition. So then I'm playing this one and I'm really enjoying it, but I was looking it up and the combat system's exactly the same. The character class I'm playing as is exactly the same as the character in the other one, so I'm not really seeing anything new. And what I felt like my issues with the first game were, other than them not talking to each other, like their story crossover was the main one, because it's like, what? I might as well be playing like several different games instead. And the other problem was I found the numbers were inflated, like you were already in the hundreds of HP, and that's still the case in this one. Where it just seems to be starting the game and everyone's got like 200. Because then, like, when you're like level something, you'd be at like 1,000, and it's just a really weird choice. And that I know it's common to have grinding, but it felt like I'd barely play. Like, I had to grind in the like the first one, like the demo in Primrose's demo to beat the boss. Is like, oh, I had to go back and grind, which I feel like that might be slightly changed in this because I just did every fight that I walked into in this demo, and I didn't need to grind to beat the boss. I just had to realize that I had a second weapon and use that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Oh, it's funny you say that because I remember they had told me in my demo they had told me that there was the second weapon, but I had forgotten. But I got through all the battles, so I guess it didn't really matter. But I remember them saying like it's like, oh, if you need to watch the break, and if it doesn't work on one, try your other weapon. And yeah, I just forgot. But the other thing, so yeah, I had all the same criticisms you had about the first one. The other thing that bothered me about the first one is that the character that you pick first could never leave the party, and that was kind of irritating. So I'm curious to see if that changes in this game. But yeah, like I know like you have 8 characters and you'd have to grind them all, but then you couldn't, because you couldn't take the one character out, then you could only grind 3 at a time, which is even more irritating because at least if you could take the character out, you could do 4 at one time and 4 at another, but
I think this demo is like the prologue demo of the previous game where you get 3 hours to play it, like a time limit, and you can do one character's prologue and then you can run around, collect another character and do their prologue. Whereas I just did the prologue and I was like, that's good enough. I wasn't trying to navigate to pick someone else up.
You said you went with the hunter
Chet
character, right?
So I think I'd picked up Harnett in the other game, but I hadn't really played with her at all. So I was like, oh, this is super fun, but it's exactly this exact same weapons and skills and everything as Harnett. But it literally starts off and you're picking your companion from 2 choices. So I'm like, oh my god, Pokemon. And then you literally capture monsters and then you can use their skills. So I picked up one that heals me, and then I realized I could use the I don't know what the point system is called, where you can just store up extra attacks. You can apply that to
like the boosts?
you can apply the boosts to the animal attacks as well. So like the healing and the other, which was good because in the boss fight I had a frog that could attack all, so I kept spamming that to get rid of the things that the boss kept trying to eat and make an ultimate attack. So I was like, stop it, go away. But yeah, I really liked it. You can also, I think this part might be new. I didn't know if Harnett could turn her captures into food. Yeah, so you can catch
okay.
Catch monsters and then you can prepare them into meat or other items depending on what they. Yeah,
Oh, you
so I had to get
monster.
rid of my giant iguana for story reasons, which is very annoying because it was very fun to slap a giant boss-sized monster onto somebody that was picking a fight with me. And yeah, that's the same.
Yeah.
They have their unique action that they can do outside of battle, and mine is to pick a fight by sicking one of my monsters onto them.
Oh, yeah. I think you
Yeah,
could do that in the first one too,
that's
because I'm
yeah.
pretty
I
sure I
looked up
picked
and I
on
was
it
like,
in the
okay, this
first
is like
one.
this class is exactly the same as it was in the first game. But I
Yeah.
guess I hadn't really messed around with it. I think it's a good one to start with. It's really fun. And yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, I
I
was just
went
gonna
with
say she's got a reason to
oh,
travel.
okay.
Her reason to travel the world is that she needs to collect three like deities to come back and save the island.
Oh, okay. I ended up going with Throne, who was like the thief character or the thief class, I guess. And so the story that mine started with is that so she's in a party with two other people. Well, technically four other people at the beginning. So they're like running through a sewer. They had clearly just stolen something, and they were being pursued by, I don't know. It was kind of unclear if it was like guards from wherever they stole, or if it was like some rival thieves or something. But they're being chased through the sewers, and one person is wounded, and they kind of put him down to have a battle, and then they explain like the battle system. And like I said, there was I know they had told me there was the different weapons, but I just didn't bother. And she also has like a darkness, like it's almost like a dark magic blast sort of thing that she can do. And then the two guys that were in the party can do I don't one was I think one was some kind of rage induced or something. I never even used the skills, like the fights weren't all that difficult to do, so I didn't get too into the weeds with the combat system. But after the initial battle, like the one guy dies, and they're like trying to they had an escape plan set up, but it was locked, so they figure that somebody ratted them out. So they, continue down the sewer, and they come to another door, and that's when you're introduced to Throne's, kind of, I guess, overworld power or whatever it is. And what hers is that she can knock people out. so there's like you sneak behind this guard, and you just knock them out, and then continue on or whatever. And I'm assuming that that's going to be useful in the overworld later on when you want to steal something, where you like knock somebody out and like steal stuff from the house or something. But the characters kind of go up. One of the things is there's a lot of sexual innuendo in in mine, which I was kind of surprised about. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like they're because in the party of three, like one of the guys is like this crude man, and he basically, I don't know, I had it was more like it wasn't graphic per se, but it was like very clear that what he was asking for from her. And then she basically told him to
Mm-hmm.
do it himself. And then the third character is like, should we leave you alone for a bit? And I'm like, holy man, like, okay, like this is fine, I guess. And then I guess the whole thing is that these thieves have so there's like this guild of thieves and that live in this house, and there's the two leaders are like mother. They're called mother and father. That's how they're like addressed. And the thieves, I guess, have these collars that prevent them from. I guess it must be like some kind of like Suicide Squad style, where it's like if they try to escape, the collar will kill them or something. So they have to kind of be at the bidding of these characters. And it's clear that Throne doesn't want to be in whatever life that she's in, and would rather travel abroad or something, or do anything. Like she's looking for freedom, I guess, is the gist of it. So, but I mean, for the game, like it looks as beautiful as the first one. Like everything looks terrific. Like the backgrounds are amazing. One of the things that was a little weird to me is it seemed like the backgrounds and the environments were at a higher resolution than the characters. Especially this one scene, like at the beginning, there's a scene where it's like it starts kind of not it starts kind of at the top of the sewer, and it's kind of like moving down like through the pipes and stuff. And there's like a close-up of a rat that looks at the camera, but the rat is like so low poly that it looks out of place. It's like really weird, because it's like, okay, like that's clearly a sprite of a rat, but it's not anywhere near the resolution of like the pipes behind it, so it was kind of weird to look at. And then one of the Throne sprite in the like after you win the battle, they kind of like bob a little bit, and then Throne's head looks like it disconnects from her body, like because her head kind of goes up and down, and so I was kind of like, oh, that's strange.
Yeah,
but
I did.
I guess she's got
There's
the
like
skin
one
in it.
character in my prologue where they just seemed kind of stiff. And I really don't like when the sprites are constantly moving. That's why I can't stand like the mobile versions of Dragon Quest, because they're just like marching up and down all the time. It really annoys me. But then it's also funny, like just I guess the default pose they have just seems very standard, so they just don't. They really just look like a
Yeah.
little paper cutout just standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I noticed
Yeah.
that in
But
some of
no,
the
it
other
looked good, sounded good.
HD2D, it's like the people look a little too basic because they're going for that retro style.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like they're looking for like the pixel based sprite that looks very flat, and but then you've got like these layers in the background with like the parallax
The
effect and the
lighting.
detail, and it's like they're just it's weird because it almost feels like they're not from the same game to a certain extent. It's like maybe they could have put a little bit more detail into the sprites. Like I understand they want that retro look, but it almost seemed kind of out of place in some scenes. But and I mean the villains or the enemies are always like bigger and
I
more
know that's
detailed than the sprites too, which is kind of
it's a
funny.
style. My husband actually hates when games do that, when they have like you look like nothing, but the bosses
Yeah,
get to be cool and massive. I know that's the thing in I think the Saga
yeah,
games. Yeah, so I don't know if
yeah,
that's
yeah.
one of the originators of it. But
Well, it's just getting worse. It'll just get worse as the game goes on too, because like in that trailer, it showed like the massive shark that was like jumping at them and stuff. So you got like this shark that's like three
the
quarters of the
iguana I
screen and
fought
very
and turned into
detailed.
meat was bigger than that shark. And then I
Oh,
got to
really?
stick it on a guy before I
Jeez.
murdered it for meat. So
Oh, that's funny.
I want another big monster again. It don't to like 200 HP. I want. How dare they nerf me by having to.
Yeah, well, that's the jury's out on whether Jordan's going to be savagely mocked for the next 5 years
Well,
on
we'd have
Octopath
to
2
be
now. So,
convinced to pick it up. And did this demo convince you to pick up the game?
well, they
Oh,
got my money now. So, yeah, I
oh no.
pre-ordered. So we'll see. It's more of a reflection of me giving money to Square Enix than maybe being convinced that this is the game
No.
that's going to be worth
Oh,
my
this game is worth
$80. But
$5 more than the standard Switch game. I don't know. So yeah, I was talking about that in another podcast where Square Enix was like, okay, this one's like $5 more than the standard Switch price, but then this one's $10 less. But it's just
Octopath
yeah,
2
it's
is $5 more.
$84.95, and a normal Switch game is like $79.95, like full retail price. Obviously, there are places that sell it
Oh,
for cheaper, but this is like what EB Games, and it would be on the eShop.
oh, that's weird because I bought it on Steam at $79.99.
I'm gonna see what the Australian price is for that, just to see if it's the same or it's because it's on. But it's the same for
It might
yeah,
just
no,
be Square
it's
Enix
same
sticking it to the Aussies. Oh,
on
really?
all
That's
platforms.
weird.
This one's aside from Xbox because no one cares about Xbox. It's on
Yeah, that's right.
Switch, PS5, PS4, and PC.
And all $84.99 there. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because I don't know. I didn't even look at the prices on the others, but I definitely know it was $79.99 for me when I picked it up. So that's. I don't think our dollar is that much different than yours. Like
Let
I
me
think
see. Currently,
it's very close. I think you might be like
like
95 or
yeah,
96 cents to
9 cents
our dollar or
difference at the
something.
moment. And our
Yeah,
taxes
it's
are
not
always
much.
included in the price of everything, which is like a flat 10% GST.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
think
not
we're like
like
13. So
Americans be like it's $60, but then they still have to pay $5 more or something, depending on where they live.
mm.
We just know what the price is, so we don't have to do extra maths. But yeah,
Yeah.
because it's just like the standard price for a Switch game is like 80, but then Square's doing 85, and Bamco keeps doing 90, and that's why I haven't picked up some of their games because why am I paying more for a mediocre game when the better game is cheaper? And not just like because it's like been out for a while, like it's in like new release game.
Yeah. Well, and that's the funny thing about the discourse about the pricing is that is like all this pricing is like, well, that's like day one pricing. If you just waited a few months, then like it's not you could get 30, 40, 50%
I
off a lot
think
of these
that's why the
games. Like,
Mario
so
Rabbids sequel didn't go so well, because everyone's used to yeah, everyone's
$10.
used to Ubisoft games going down very quickly.
Like 3 weeks. I remember there. I think it was. I'm trying to remember which one it was, but I think it was the. Oh, what's the name of that? It's like the Grand Theft Auto cyber game. Um, what was it? And it was in England this time,
You mean Watch
and I'm
Dogs?
blanking on the name of Watch Dogs. Yes. So I remember Watch Dogs was coming out, and I was gonna, and I've played like I think it was either Watch Dogs 2 or I think it was Watch Dogs 2 because I didn't pay for Watch Dogs 3. When Watch Dogs 2 was coming out, I played the first Watch Dogs, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna, I'd like to play the second one. But it's like, okay, it's an Ubisoft game. I'll just wait a month, and yeah, like within 3 weeks of the launch, there was already a
Hmm.
25% off sale. Like 3 weeks,
You
like I
got
couldn't
to
believe it.
make
Like
those
it's crazy.
day one proto bonuses enough to appeal to David.
Yeah, they were not bonus enough.
Ha-
Well, there's
Yeah,
just too many
that's
games too.
always.
Like there's so many games out. It's not like I'm sitting around not playing
I
anything,
can't
waiting for the game. Like
pre-purchase offer.
I'll just play something else and
Oh,
wait for
there
your
we go.
sale.
But apparently, to you, some healing items are worth free. It's
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
standard. Oh, here's some free extra.
The healing items that are probably good in the
Yeah,
first 10 minutes of the game, and then
these
they're
items can
are
also be
stale
obtained
dated
by
or
progressing throughout the game. Yes, and
yeah.
that's enough to get you.
It was
Yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately,
Hmm.
I hope I don't
I
regret it.
prefer when I get a little pin or something like that.
Yeah.
Something real.
I thought I was getting a statue. That's why I gave the money up front. I was
It's
sure I
just
was
all
getting a
them
statue,
facing
and
each
now I'm
other's
not. And
backs, like tangled up like a rat key.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's an octagon in the center, and they're all facing
Well,
eight
hey,
different
based on the
directions.
cover art, they should be spending time together because they're all at a campfire.
Well, it's funny. The first Octopath Traveler, I remember that they were all like doing karaoke at a bar on a piano.
What?
Yeah, there's a. I don't think it's for the game itself. There's if you look up the picture of the
Okay.
soundtrack, and I think they're all like at a piano in a bar singing
And you're
karaoke.
like, that doesn't happen.
No, it certainly does not. It's like if there's any eye contact in that picture, it's a fraud.
So, does this mean we'll have an episode of John versus David on whether or not Octopath Travelers 2 is worth your money?
Oh man,
It's buyer's regret.
yeah. No, I'm telling you, if I don't like the game, everyone's gonna hear about
You'll just have to return it and pick up Kirby instead.
it. Yeah, I don't know. I only depending on how it works with the returns in the demo. I've already used up an
Uh,
hour of my 2 hours, so I'm gonna have a stopwatch next to my Steam Deck when I start playing and hit the button at 159 and decide whether it's worth it.
oh dear.
Yeah. Square Enix is just lucky that they make so many damn good games because I'll just write it off as, you know what, if this keeps them in
Well,
business,
you
it
just
was worth
start the
it.
podcast as a business and then you can put it in your tax return.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although I won't have to worry too much about Square Enix financial health because you're keeping them afloat with your statue purchases.
Yeah, they don't want my money, but they get it. I've been I'm waiting. They're importing the Pixel Remaster Collector's Edition. I'm importing like bits and bobs of Final Fantasy 14 merch.
Yeah. Well, I know neither of us have coughed up the money, but any company that can sell a statue for
Yeah,
$50,000
if I was gonna
is not going
spend
out of
several
business
thousand
anytime
dollars on a
soon.
statue, I'd be getting the life-size Ryza statue that released a few years ago. That's my choice.
I want that Sephiroth statue that was
Yeah,
as big as Kitchen
pretty
Island.
big. I feel like I don't know if that was a Square Enix one
Yeah.
or like some custom job.
If you can't put your eye out with a one-winged angel, then what's the point of giving the money?
See, now you've said that, and I'm imagining Sephiroth as like a garden cherub, and like the garden statues, like the grey fountain.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that's
I could just picture you put that out in your garden and you look out one day and there's an impaled bird on his sword.
we gotta sell to the market of gamers that own land.
That's right.
They need their landscaping.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, those were the demos that we
Yep.
played during the direct. Did you have any final thoughts about the direct or
Well, there was also a
the
Kirby demo,
demos?
so which is
Oh yeah, that's for the Battle Deluxe.
no, Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, which was a Wii game that I never played.
Ah, that's
It's
it.
like the
Yeah.
first two levels, a boss fight, and two of the mini games. And I liked the mini game, the shooting one. I think I'll probably play that one a lot more than the other ones. It's a bit more to it. And yeah, we got to try out a couple of the new things, which is like the sand ability. It was also funny because I played Star Allies. So I go back to this one and I'm sucking up some guys, but their abilities aren't in this game. So I suck up the spider, I
Oh,
don't get a
okay.
spider ability, or the cleaning guy, I don't get a broom, and I'm like, oh, they didn't add everything back. I know I've already done like one or two fights against these Doomers or whatever, and they're basically, as far as I know, they're like the Metroids in Metroid 2. So you have to fight
Oh,
them
okay.
a lot. But yeah, I got to play out the
Oh.
multiplayer because in this version you get to both be Kirby. So you can both have copy abilities and pick up the hyper ones and do them. And I'm very excited for it. Basically, it was just fun to play a little bit of it beforehand. The Kirby's kiss again because in Forgotten
That's,
Land they took out the kissing. Because like if you
oh,
pick up health and like you've got extra basically when you walk past the other Kirby, you'll kiss them and fill up their health a bit. Like I guess for how many points the food was worth. And in Forgotten Land they changed that to a high five, which was very sad. Um,
oh, that's
there's
so
bird
good.
feeding again back in. Yeah, so it was like the three demos, Kirby, Octopath 2, and Sea of Stars. And I think the only other things that had me interested in the direct was the fashion game, which I was sort of not sure about because I was like, oh, it's XC, not Nintendo, so it's not the series that I thought, but it is actually the same developers. Um,
Oh, okay. So they
yes,
did
so it's
do
the same
the style
developers.
savvy
It's
then.
just XC is doing it instead. There was, for me, not
Okay.
that interesting, but Ghost Trick. A lot of people are, because I already got that, I just need to play it. So, but it's good because it was
Oh,
on DS, very expensive on DS. It's on mobile devices, and now it's coming to the other platforms. Um, do you care about Professor Layton? Because they hinted that was one of the many level 5 games.
uh, I have one on
I don't
3DS, but
like
I
puzzle
haven't
games
really
at all,
played
so I
it.
was just like, okay. Birdo is coming to Mario
Yeah.
Kart, so that's good. Um, there was some.
Well, I had a
Oh
very
yes,
important question about the Kirby game. Are they charging you $89
no,
for
that
that?
would be the standard $80, I think. But then people are also complaining. Yeah, a lot of people complaining that this game is full price. Yeah, not
Oh,
just
really?
Australians, but
Yeah.
like in general. Um, I'm
Yeah.
also annoyed because they're restocking the Kirby amiibo, and there's two I didn't pick up because I had Smash figures, but then I've ordered them from Japan, and I'm like, I could have gotten them sooner and slightly cheaper if but I didn't know.
Oh,
Like I only spent $25, but I could have got them
yeah.
for immediately, basically. But yeah, there's a few different. There's a couple of
Oh, you
things in the
never
direct
know.
I didn't care too much about. But yeah, the fashion one was interesting. The Fire Emblem DLC that I mentioned. One of the characters is from the mobile game, and it looks like they can summon the other guys. So that's funny. Splatoon 3
Mm.
DLC, where the first thing is just a different hub, and it's not even coming out straight away. So I was like, I'll go wait for that. And the clothing items aren't even different. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's a few things. A main thing I would say is that there is a dog in Pikmin. And as someone has pointed out to me, a lot of the Nintendogs have no noses. Because I posted a picture of
Oh.
this one's called Ochi and Poochie from Yoshi and whatever the ghost dog in Luigi just mentioned 2 and 3 is, and technically the Teen Chomp, and yeah, none of them have noses. They've got like nose spots, but they don't have like the little black dot or yeah nostrils and such.
Oh.
Yeah,
Can't say I even
but yeah, I guess
noticed.
when you put them all together, you can see. Yeah, I feel like it's a bit more obvious on the one in the Pikmin video because he's clearly got the big snout spot, but nothing. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, the direct was
Hmm.
pretty good. It was just that there's a lot of stuff we were expecting, and like Ben Carter's leaked. I knew about Ed Sheeran. Everyone had been wanting Game Boy for ages. everyone.
Oh, then the
Yes,
Metroid Prime
and yeah,
remaster
like
there.
that was Shadow Drop, so that was cool. But also, like, people have been talking about it
Yeah.
forever. Advanced Wars have been waiting on it forever, so like it just wasn't as cool because it was like, oh, like finally.
Well, and everyone thought it was the entire trilogy, not
I
just the
heard
first one.
something that some people were saying that 2 and 3 were unlikely because they were built around motion controls. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, the what I've seen though, the remaster is like a proper, like even the models and some things are different. So I'll be picking up a physical of that, even though I don't need to because I'm pretty sure I own the trilogy.
Although I saw one of the developers was complaining that the door
Yeah,
wasn't colored
but then yeah,
correctly.
I saw like a comparison video, and it seems like some of the models might be slightly changed because there was like just some piece of the space landing bit where it's like, okay, that looks like a completely different shape. So
Yeah. Yeah, I know I bought it on a couple years ago for the GameCube, the first one there, and never actually played it. So yeah, I would probably just play that before shelling out any more money. Also, I don't have a GameCube controller for the Switch, so I feel like I would rather play it in its true
okay.
GameCube controller for what it
Well,
was
they've
developed
added the
for. So
dual analog option. Yeah, they've added dual
oh
analog. They've
okay,
added pointer controls, which you on the Switch aren't really anything. Um, I was listening
no,
to a different podcast, and someone mentioned that you can actually take a visor off, so you don't have like, and so you have like less visual stuff in your way. Yeah, there's quite a
oh
few little options. But yeah, you can also
hmm.
connect a GameCube controller to the Switch and use that if you want.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, and somebody, I don't think it was an official Nintendo one, but I saw somebody had made GameCube
Oh yeah, I've
Joy-Con.
seen that. Um, I think what
Yeah.
was interesting was that they shadow dropped it digitally, and then it's coming out physically 2 days before Octopath and Kirby. It's delayed by a week, like
Yeah.
in Australia, which I just presume they didn't ship it early enough, basically. But yeah, it's just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's coming out before our next two games. It's like, what? But yeah, it was like, yeah, it was pretty good direct. It was just like everything was like, okay, finally.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I know leading up to it, there was a lot of questions of like, is Nintendo releasing any other games besides Legend of Zelda? Because
See
they
that
haven't
like
mentioned
that's
anything.
kind of
So
dumb too, though, because it's like, well, it's February, like it's the start of the year.
yeah,
We don't
there'll be
normally
something.
know. It's probably another
Yeah.
Pokemon, like we don't
Yeah.
normally know this early what's coming. They'll probably wait
Yeah.
till after Breath of the
Well,
Wild. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom. How many people is it going to
well,
take
I was
to
even
till we
thinking,
stop saying Breath of the Wild too?
yeah, there might even be some kind of Mario related
Yeah,
thing
there has. That
holiday
was the
this
weird
year. I
thing
would
last
think
year
like
because, as far as I was aware, I thought we were supposed to have a Mario and a Zelda game every year, and Zelda got away with all the spin-offs and stuff. But last year we didn't get any, unless you count N64 game.
no, no. I there's gotta you'd think there'd have to be if not 3D, then at least a 2D Mario or something that'll come out in the second half of the year. I'm thinking they just don't want to mention it until after
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild 2 comes out.
I know.
And then they'll be like, oh, well, the big holiday game this year is, Mario, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, hopefully.
But like I said, whether it's a 2D or a 3D, I would have to think a new 2D Mario must be in the
Maybe.
pipeline at some point.
I
Yeah.
already wrote a ton of crazy
But
predictions before the direct drop, and I only got, I think, Advance Wars. So I just went all out with like, I didn't care whether it was going to actually happen. I just wrote, what do I want Nintendo to make? And some people have made,
well, Square Enix has to stop
yeah,
releasing games because I can't afford any
yeah.
other companies at this point.
Yeah, what about NIS? How much stuff are they releasing this year? Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
free.
kind of
Yeah. Well,
ignoring a lot
then
of
yeah,
their
they got
releases because it's like, oh, there's no physical in Australia. Like, I'd have to import. I'm like, okay, well, because it's like, I think,
oh,
what's
that's a
the
pain.
Labyrinth?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Trails of Azure
Mm.
is soon. I think it was April or something like that, and then Reverie is going to be in
Yeah, I think
July, I
it's like
believe. And
the Trails games have been published here, but then like they haven't bothered with what's coming as like the Labyrinth game or Void Triumph 2. Like, no. So I don't know what to do with that is because they clearly still have relations with publishers, but they're just like, this is the only one worth selling here. Hmm.
yeah, it's weird.
But yeah, so now we're in 2 months. We'll be hearing more direct rumors because people can't stand to go more than 5 minutes without one.
Yeah, it'll be all about what's being released in the second half, and the rumors of April direct or May direct. I'm sure they'll start anytime. Well, they have already started, like you said. So we'll have that fun to deal with.
Yes. But for now, we can just drown in video
Cool.
games.
Yeah, yeah. The onslaught of video games are starting up again. So there'll be something
Yes.
every week shortly.
There'll be more than
Starting
one
with
thing every
Octopath in a
week.
couple weeks. Yeah. Yeah. One of these days we're gonna get those Persona. It was funny what you had mentioned the other day of you know when we doing that
Yeah.
Persona 5 spoiler cast, because as soon as you said it, I'm the first thing that came to my mind was
No,
we
we
didn't
did
do that.
not.
I thought we did that.
We did not.
I totally forgot. Yeah. So yeah, I guess that'll be we. Those are some of the episodes in the pipeline. We got a Persona. I'm almost done Persona 3. I don't think I'm too far off now. I'm in like level 100 and something in Tartarus, and I've only got like 3 of the bosses left, um, and then yeah, we got the Persona 5 spoiler cast that we can do shortly. Well, Octopath will be coming out soon, so yeah, we'll have lots, nothing, no shortage of stuff to talk about coming up. So that will be what's next. But I guess we'll put a bow on this episode now with those couple of demos. So I recommend people check either one out. They're both felt pretty solid, so we'll see how they are when they come out. But yeah, I want to thank you, Paige, for joining me for this episode and playing through a couple of demos with me.
Yep.
And I know you've got you've got a Nintendo Direct reaction video for people to check out on
Yeah,
YouTube.
I talk more about the stuff that I was interested in.
Your crazy predictions that.
No, I didn't talk about it.
No, okay. No problem. So your YouTube channel is Paige G Guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone head over there when you have a chance and check out those. And yeah, I guess if anyone wants to check us out on Discord, the link is in our Twitter account at The Thirsty Mage, or you can check out our website with all those links as well, thethirstymage.com. But I guess until then, we'll see everyone out at the next episode. Bye.